Welcome back to the AI-Driven Marketer, where I'm helping marketers master AI to do more, do better, and overcome the overwhelm. Today, I have the privilege of talking to Geoff Livingston, who is the founder of Cognitive Path, and about how to craft AI strategies and actually integrate them into your business objectives. Because I often find we talk about AI from a high level and we talk about the nitty gritties like building custom GPTs in my podcast and a lot of other podcasts. So Geoff, I'm excited to talk to you about how to integrate these two things to like actually create a holistic strategy for marketing departments. So welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Dan. And the honor is all mine. So I really appreciate you reaching out and asking, and hopefully we can return the favor sometime.
So I have to ask, like, when was the moment for you that AI became the thing you're just going to go all into?
It's funny because I started writing about AI in 2018 and how it's going to impact the marketing department. So way back.
Early, back when Salesforce was introducing like Einstein and they were doing that big push?
Yeah, kind of, but also too, like when I really started to see Siri and Alexa kind of take hold and they were commonplace, and I was watching my kid have conversations with Alexa,
Interesting.
which is a little bit creepy, right? You know, like here's my kid literally talking and having this weird conversation, but then I watched it and it was fascinating, and I realized how quickly this was going to move. And obviously, back then it was much more of an ML world before generative. I ended up taking a vice president of marketing job with a company called eValueServe, which is, the name's not optimal perhaps, but the offering was. We did a lot of great professional services work, building ML systems and AI systems for some of the world's largest companies like Morgan Stanley, Mizuho, Vanguard, McDonald's, American Honda. I mean, on and on and on and on. So I really had to come to know AI and sell it. And I did a couple of years of that. And then obviously the crossing the chasm moment for generative was GPT in November of 22, which just seems to be this fine line. It's kind of like, remember when Twitter launched at South by and everybody's like, Twitter, oh my God, what is this thing? This is incredible. And I think that was 2007. It was similar to that, maybe even more of a lightning bolt, probably more of a lightning bolt. And, I realized how much potential and I said to myself, this is marketing's turn and I'm going to get into this. Went out on my own 6 months later, and I'm literally marking a year today out on my own.
It's funny. I used to like make fun of the machine learning stuff early on, even though I knew it's either you were killing it because you were big and had a lot of resources. Like I knew AI was powering a lot of the like larger AI or larger tech companies. Like if you were hailing Ubers, if you were using Google products, if you were using some of these big dogs, like there's a lot of AI and machine learning underneath that's driving a lot of what made it good for a long time. I don't think people realize that AI was actually a big part of it underneath.
Sure.
And before ChatGPT came onto the market like it did. But in marketing, man, it was, I felt like for small and mid-sized players, AI wasn't still very approachable or usable until maybe like Jarvis came onto the market shortly before ChatGPT.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, if you think about what happened with social networks and how algorithmic programming went with that, basically what you receive versus what you subscribe to, and the difference between that and the necessity of driving engagement to build advertisement. We've really been living in an AI world for quite some time. We're just officially calling it that now. The AI talks back at us, literally in text as well as with our speakers. It's definitely very interesting. The other thing about ML, it's so quick to brush it under the rug, but man, if you're going to be serious about AI, you're going to be dealing with ML. It's just inevitable, particularly with generative. I mean, when you build a complex AI model, I can't imagine not having both of them in that model. Where you're looking at CDPs and really rolling out generative AI within a brand framework to personalize communications to larger customer bases, you're not going one-to-one anymore. You're going one-to-many, and you really need ML to help you get there.
So how do you, when you're talking to executives, what's the general idea that you're giving them or the vision you're casting for them for how AI can specifically drive marketing, though you can speak to the overall company? How are you casting that vision for them and how it can play a role? And let me make it even more distinctive. Like, how would you do it for like a small, mid, and enterprise level company? How do you differentiate them?
Yeah. So to me, I think the real challenge with AI is, do I need an AI strategy or do I need AI to serve my business strategy? And that's where we begin. And we get back to the business strategy because really I see AI as lighter fluid, right? Like to me, this is something that can accelerate a lot of activity, maybe even break through parts of an area where I was challenged and I couldn't scale. And I think that's particularly relevant to small and medium businesses. Now, think about that. Like, if I'm an enterprise, if I'm Procter and Gamble, I have a brand team for every single product, right? I have resources out the wazoo. I mean, I guarantee you they don't feel that way, but they do, right? They have the agencies, and I'm sure they have their budget struggles and everything, but they have the law of abundance where they have to select which resources. When you're a small company, you have no resources and you have maybe one marketing manager, maybe two, maybe a very small advertising budget. How am I going to make this thing go further? How am I going to build this campaign when I've got somebody that's running all over the place and like he or she may only be able to dedicate 10, 15 hours to this thing? Uh, well, all of a sudden now they can scale their efforts a lot quicker with generative AI. So it becomes really a much more of a focus of what's my key initiatives, where are our biggest problem areas, and can I find one particular problem where I can use this tool to maybe make a breakthrough and see how it works. And if you can find that area and you can really show some quick hit results, and I'm sure you know this, if you can find that right pilot to start with, you can really develop a nice appetite for AI. Yeah.
So when you're helping companies craft business strategy, do you usually say like, "Hey, hand me your business strategy. I'll show you where AI can fit into it," or do you actually? I'd imagine in some places you actually want to think about like what's possible with AI and let that inform a little bit, inform the objectives to some degree, or is it the other way around?
Yeah. Usually when I'm talking to, I mean, first of all, I find that particularly within larger enterprises, the CMO can't go off and do this on their own. Like they have to have the alignment with the CTO and
Oh yeah,
legal and everything. So
yep,
there's a huge team sport conversation that happens. And I swear, with the larger enterprises and more political organizations, that I'm in
yeah.
Washington, D.C., so I deal with a lot of those. You're looking at probably 80% of the battle being political and relationships and governance related, right? It gets off the mission really quickly and really focused on making sure that you can get everybody aligned and working together. And that's just unfortunately the way business is, and it's always been like that.
Well, let's take a step down the ladder then and go to maybe like your
Yeah,
300 to 500 person company. Good size, but not enterprise yet.
not enterprise yet. Yeah, to me, again, it gets back to like, what are you on the hook for? What you commit to, and where are you really struggling? I mean, to me, there's so many marketing objectives. We're always under fire, right? We're always being told we need to do more with less. Unfortunately, like half these yo-yos that run companies think that they can market better than their marketers, which is always funny because then they fire marketers periodically and find out how little they know. And I've seen that over and over again. But generally, right now in this particular time and era in 2024, marketers are under fire. So, what is the one thing that's going to make you a hero if you deliver on this outcome this year? And invariably, it's some sort of a revenue goal. And so then you have to look at that lead gen process. How are you developing leads? How's that working out? Where are the biggest problems you're having getting to market and actually convincing people? It may be an analytics problem sometimes where we're out there a lot. We're just not actually getting a lot of results. Why is that? Maybe that's something that you can really get into some business intelligence and use some old school AI tools and just get into that. But really finding out what the problem is and where you can scale is probably the most important thing. I mean, to me, the problem with AI right now is that there's so much, and forget my dog. There's so much going on. There's so much practice and discussion happening, and so much hyperbole. And then you got like people like Elon Musk saying everybody's going to lose their jobs, and Sam Altman saying 95% of creatives won't have jobs. I mean, it's like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
nuts. Like, it's all noise. It has nothing to do with the real business of marketing. And that's what you have to focus on. Focus on where you're going to be promoted, where you're going to get that raise, where you're going to get that bonus. And if you can find the problems there where AI can really help, usually it's scaling content, creating diverse types of content, uh, beating your budget. So I don't have budget to create the images. I don't have budget to create the videos. Well, maybe you actually do, because you could probably do it with AI. Well, it won't be the same quality. Does it have to be the same quality? What are your customers' expectations? Have you tried it? Those kinds of things. And really getting through those types of conversations, that's where you can make some success for a smaller, I would call a 300 to 500 person a small to medium enterprise.
I often hear people say that like AI is just not as good a quality as a human. I'm like, really? I'm
Depends.
like, one, you clearly don't know how to use AI well. Just like I don't know how to play basketball. So
Right.
if you hand me a basketball, like I'm not going to make the hoop, but somebody who's been playing basketball for a while can do really well. It's a skill. You can get good with it. And then two, like, have you read the work some of the writers are putting out on blog posts? Like I remember seeing blogs from MailChimp and I'm like, because I was competing with them on a keyword around vlogging years ago, and I read their blog about vlogging, and I'm like reading it. I'm like, this writer hasn't picked up a camera in their life.
Right.
They have no idea what they're talking about. Their grammar is good, but they clearly know nothing. AI could have written like this in a second. Of course, this was a couple years ago before GPT had launched, but I'm like, are we really doing that good of content as marketers most of the time in most organizations?
It's so funny. I was looking, I on the side, I'm a photographer, so I have a lot of fun with like that creative side. It's where I kind of get to, air out a little bit and get into the tactics of actually creating. I write as well. And I just wrote a blog post last night. I'm one of those people that doesn't like AI to write my stuff, but I do like it to correct it because that saves me a ton of time. There's a 5% problem where you have 5% of the population that they're truly excellent, right? They're very good, let's just say. And they're going to look at their AI companion and say, you know what, I can beat that every time. And maybe they're right. I would say they're probably right most of the time, not all the time. That being said, if you can't find a way that these tools can help you and cut down your workflow time, like I was just referring to mine, like I'm definitely going to take that horrible rough draft and throw it in Grammarly Pro. And then once I clean it up and get all the suggestive phrases put in there, I'm going to throw it in Claude and say, where are the weaknesses? And I'm going to get that thing pretty beefy before I push play, so to speak, or push publish. But it's going to save me about 2 or 3 hours of my process. That's invaluable. If you can't find that kind of time savings with AI, then you just don't want to use AI. That's my take on it. And then the other 95% of the population, hell yeah, let's use it. Like everybody's worried about salespeople using AI. Are you kidding me? Have you read some of the sales emails I get? I mean, these things are horrific, right?
Yeah. You're
Anything you
like,
can get.
please use the AI tools.
Yeah, yeah.
It could
Here's
do
the
no worse
prompt.
than what you're currently doing.
Here's the prompt. E.g., your template. Don't mess it up,
Yeah.
please, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but the other thing too is I have a photograph that's hanging in the other room, and I was looking at it the other day. It's a beautiful composite model. I put her in a an alley, and then I put all these butterflies and stars in there and all that stuff. It wasn't a true photograph, although it was based off a photograph, and it was using about 6 or 7 different images. It had a drone in there too, and it took me about 12 or 13 hours to make that photo. I could do that in 5 minutes on Midjourney. And yeah, will look exactly as photogenic as the one I have on my wall. No, but it's 90% there. That's good enough for me. And particularly for marketing, I think.
Yeah. And most marketers aren't trying to win photography contests. They're trying to communicate the right idea to the right person at the right time. So 95% there is probably better than what you would have gotten the stock photo from Getty Images anyway.
100%.
I
100%. And
find,
that's the other issue, right? Like
yeah,
Getty just doesn't have it. Shutterstock doesn't have your idea.
yeah. I needed a picture for just a thumbnail for a different podcast that I produce. And I needed a picture of a CEO in a suit, like changing the wheel on a bus.
Right.
I'm like, now I have a camera and I could go stage this, and it needed to be in like a city. It needed to look like an executive kind of thing. And I'm like, I could go downtown Nashville, find some dude, put him in a suit, and maybe like if I'm gonna be lean and dirty, like literally find a bus on the side of the road and walk up to it with a wrench and be like, hurry, pose, ching ching, and then go run away and take it. So much time, even if I'm doing it down and dirty. There's just not going to be a stock photo of this, but with Midjourney, you're
Uh,
talking 30 seconds. I have four versions of it. One of them's good.
right.
Upscale that, done. I have my image, and it's a great image.
I mean, and you're talking about a guy that's been hired by Audi USA
Yeah.
to go photograph things. And I'm the first thing
Yeah,
I go to when I want to populate a deck, go right to Midjourney.
Midjourney. So that's one of many things people can be using AI for, and I love Midjourney and what you can do with Dolly, and even Photoshop's AI ability now is just fantastic.
Yeah, and
But tell me a
Copilot
little.
too, right? It can
Yeah,
help out a bit, quite a bit.
I haven't started using Copilot for images. Do you find that it's different than using Dolly directly, or is it pretty much just
Yeah,
Dolly? You get to use it for free.
yeah, no, no. I don't really love Dolly that much, but
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
nothing
I'm
wrong with
using
it.
Midjourney too.
It's like whatever, it's like kind of like the whole religious war. Do you like Claude or Gemini or GPT? It's like whatever, you're using one, so that's good. And that's the way we got to look at this stuff. Let's encourage people to use these tools because we still have a lot of people with their heels dug in. The Copilot's interesting, like I find it gets me about 25-30% of the way there, but what it will do is it'll create an outline, it'll create some slides. You're going to have to correct like 60-70% of it. But if you're one of those people like me where creating PowerPoints that maybe aren't special to me, this can help quite a bit. And
Yeah.
again, using that versioning, you could take Microsoft Copilot within PowerPoint, upload the document right into PowerPoint, and it'll build a deck off the document. Again, it's not all the way there. You're going to have to do some work. But man, again, big time savings.
So a lot of companies are dabbling, and they have marketing plans, stated problems, objectives to meet the problems. How do you bridge the gap between these two? How do you craft strategies that bridge their problems to the tools that they're dabbling with now?
So what you're really talking about are use cases, right? Where you build an AI model that's probably a little bit more than a subscription, and I think to me that experimentation phase is absolutely critical, like absolutely critical. Do it. But once you get hungry for this stuff to do more and really impact your larger processes, that's where you get into like, okay, what's possible with a use case? And to me, the best thing you could do with use cases is to not dismiss them, always whiteboard them. And then one of the things we do with Cognitive Path is we have a use case kind of a framework where we literally, me and Greg, we will go through with clients and we will score their use cases. So usually these use cases resolve a problem, such as like how do we create business intelligence reports for customers based off of their inputs, or how do we provide advice based off of our user manuals or our guidance documents in a manner that's useful to the client, or the customer or the member. If it's an association, we have a lot of associations. And what we'll do is we'll score that. Like, what's the business impact, right? What's the ROI? What's the technical feasibility,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
that's a lot of it. What's this going to cost me? Like, if I have to do a private instance and my data's a hot mess and I got to clean up all my data to get there, this might be a lot more of a lift than I think. And you'll see that a lot when you really start talking enterprise AI. You know what I mean, Dan? Like, you get into the data, and I think every marketer knows this and nobody really wants to talk about it. It's their data tends to be a hot mess. There is no structured data. If you're getting into somebody's WordPress, their tags are usually a hot mess. They don't have
Yep.
any of their
Yep.
content organized. They have like PDFs from like 2003 still around that hasn't been like cleaned up in any way or tagged in any way. On and on and on and on. All this content, all the different diverse things they're doing on social networks, and they're not bringing in. They're not tying in what's that Canva. They're not tying in
Yeah.
their Canva content. They don't have it
Yep.
on a server. They don't have it tagged by type of asset. They don't
Yep.
have anything cleaned up. You get into cleaning up your data like that, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're done. we're not doing this too much.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So
So,
there's a lot of complexity to consider.
well, I mean, this makes a lot of sense to me because I've seen like growth teams prioritize growth hacks or growth strategies they want to implement, maybe tactics. But you're talking about like taking all the problems and then rank stacking them based on a few factors, right? Kind of
Yes.
scoring them based on how painful is this problem. You didn't say that, but I assume that'd be a line item. Like how painful, how painful is it? Like, how
How
much would it
impactful will
cost?
be to
How much?
resolve it too, right?
Yeah. How much would it cost to fix? What's the ROI if we do fix it?
Right.
Difficulty of fixing it. And then one you said, I can't remember the word you used, but it was something like how likely, like, can we actually do this with AI? Question mark. Like, yeah, I think it was feasibility was probably the word you used.
Sora sounds good,
Yeah.
but can it do it?
Can it do it, right? I mean, Sora's not even out yet, so
I
who
know.
knows?
That's classic OpenAI, right?
I know.
Classic OpenAI. This is coming. Oh my God. Everybody's like, oh, it's been
When?
a few months now.
I know.
The thing too is also, is there alignment within the organization to do it, right? Are
Alignment.
people inside going to freak out if we start doing this? Am I going to be dealing with the chief legal officer, or general counsel, or is
Yep.
HR going to be barking at my neck? Those are real issues. And I think depending on how much political will there is with marketing and how well marketing's tied to the larger executive team, this could be a big issue.
What would you
So
say if like a CMO comes to you and it's like, hey, we're doing things pretty well. I want to start overhauling the whole thing to be like AI driven. How do I start? Like, how would you think about approaching that? Do you just start with like quick wins? We rank stack them, we find some wins, but maybe you've gotten a few wins, but they're not like, okay, let's trickle into everything else. Do you just go by the rank stack and keep working on things? Or is there like a larger approach you would take in order to make sure there's like a cohesive plan to how you're using AI throughout the department?
yeah, once you're serious, you're definitely getting into data governance right away,
Yeah.
because everything that AI does well, it does well because it's been given the right information to do well. Even generative AI is a probability engine, right?
Yeah.
I think of AIs as really engines, right? They're probability engines. So people can laugh at ML all they want, but really when they're on a generative tool, they're really dealing with machine learning that's spitting out some sort of a result based on the probability of it being correct. Prompting is all about providing that AI the right information. I often tell marketers, I don't know how to prompt. I'm like, do you know how to write a creative brief? Yes. Then you know how to prompt. And the reality is getting your data governance straight is the most critical thing you could do for an AI future, because it's going to pave the way for everything you want to do, from small to large, from grand to a simple fix me, right? Even like AI meeting notes. What are you doing with your AI meeting notes? Are you just leaving them on the meeting tool? Are you leaving them on Otter? Are you leaving them on
Yeah.
Read AI? Or are you
Yeah.
downloading them and putting them in a folder and tagging them by name, by date, by conversation, and any other relevant conversation tags? Because the reality is that transcript and that video content can be mined later for unstructured content
Yeah.
and insights. Like there's a company, it's called, I don't know if you've heard of them, Known Well.
Yeah. No, I've been on their podcast. I've featured Courtney Baker on this podcast twice now.
Courtney's amazing, right? Like they'll literally take all those meeting notes and tell you when you're about to lose your customers based off of churn. Like how valuable is that, right? If you're a professional services firm,
It's huge.
give that to me now. So everything future forward can be cleaned up and structured well. I understand the difficulties of going back and cleaning up years and decades of content. That could be something that even the most robust and future minded person may not have the appetite for or the budget for, frankly. But you can put in those governance policies to do that today and moving forward, making sure that you're always cleaned up. And in the future, we'll eventually be able to get all that stuff done with an AI anyway.
A lot of people talk about how early adoption of AI gives farther competitive advantage because it gives your AI, it'll give your AI longer to be trained on your data. So if you start now and start feeding it the data, it will be better 2 years from now versus people who are starting a year from now will only have a year's worth of data. And I'm kind of like, well, what if you gave it 2 years? What if they had their data and they had 2 years worth of data? I'm like, I don't know how I don't know. Maybe it just gets more feedback faster and therefore it can go faster. But I don't know anybody who's doing that. But I know data is the big game. Like people who are playing at the next level have custom data for it to train on. But it is interesting to just think about like normal business data. Like you don't have to have like Gong level meeting, like Gong has a competitive advantage because it has all the sales records for all the different meetings, right? And it
Right.
can come up with competitive intelligence because of that. It's a moat they have. But even a normal business has meeting notes that, if accessible by AI correctly in the future, it will have game changing implications later.
I think I love what you just asked. I think it's a good question. I'd be curious to hear what you think about like people that say, well, this is the best way to do AI. I think nobody really knows.
Yeah. I think
You know what I mean?
it's a hypothesis right now.
Yeah.
I've heard some really strong, there's actually a sales leader named Jim Dickey who says that on the sales front, this is going to be a big deal because if you can get your data in order now and start training AI on its ability to better predict future closing close rates will get better and better every year because it'll be trained more and more on what sales reps are doing now. So I haven't seen it, but he also talks to way more people than I do and is in a lot of more rings. I'm like, maybe it's true.
Here,
The other
here's
thing,
here's who's
go ahead.
really getting trained on it, on how to use the data. It's the humans, right? Like, let's
Yeah.
be honest. Like, it's how to work with AI. That's what you're learning. The
Yeah.
algorithms we're going to have in 2 or 3 years are going to kick the shit out of the ones that we have now, and they're going to learn a lot quicker. So, I would hypothetically say to you, your AI system that you're training on now, that you're getting smarter and better. Once there's a different algorithm in place, like how's that going to work? I mean, the reality is you're going to know how to use it a lot better. And I don't know if that future system will be better or not. Sorry,
I
I
think there's two
interrupted.
other factors too for being an two other factors I think being an early adopter gives you a major advantage of is one, as you just spoke to, is just skill development. Like
Totally.
the faster you can get your employees and your middle management trained on this, the more you can go through it. And I think I'm reading a book right now. I'm blanking on the name of this book, but the one highlight it's given me, even as nerdy as this book is like, hey, everything we do is systems oriented in business to deliver like consistent results as a business. Those systems are based on old models. AI will bring new models. So in
Totally.
the future, we will have to do the thing where we have to learn, unlearn, and relearn how to do business differently because of AI, because AI changes the playing field of what can happen and how it can happen.
All
So
the
we
time.
have to essentially, the sooner you start doing this AI thing, the more you can start unlearning what was possible to relearn what's possible now so that you could start the transformation process sooner. And that is a competitive advantage because speed is.
Speed to market. Speed is really the best advantage. If you think about what's going to happen for companies that embrace AI in the next, I guess, 18 months, and I don't know if there's even that long of a window. Maybe it probably is. Every time I think it's a short window, it seems to be longer. But you're going to be not just better at using AI, you're going to be building a bigger customer profile than your competitors because you're accelerating faster with your go to market efforts. And to me, when I look at the real advantage of AI, it isn't so much that you can use it or that your content's better or worse or anything. It's your market share, flat out. It's let's get back to the business. If your business is kicking the crap out of its competitors because you're getting a 10 to 20 or 30% lift on everything that you're using AI to optimize, you're dangerous, right? You're getting into places like where Amazon is, with its online marketplaces. The reason why it was so much more powerful than other online retailers and why it built its market share is because it had the ML tools in play to make recommendation engines, to close you, to offer alternatives, things that nobody had. Now that everybody's got it, it's too late. It's too late. They're all playing catch up. Walmart playing catch up. Target, catch up. You know, all the individual niche players within each area, running warehouse. I'm a runner, catch up. And they can't compete or scale the way that Amazon can. So you have to look at it like that. Am I going to be first to market and lead and build enough of a lead that nobody can catch me, or at least build enough of a share that it's going to be really hard to knock me out of like the leadership position within this sector where I'll be a top
Yeah.
3 or top 5 company? Or am I going to just let other people do it while I see whether or not this thing's going to work out?
As you've worked with companies on upskilling their teams and helping them transition to this AI world, what have been some of the most ROI, like the best use cases that have achieved the highest ROI that you've seen so far?
Well, I think the one that I saw was the best was actually the eValue serve one, which was Vanguard. But what they did was they unified all their customer data. So like literally they didn't know where everybody was touching them. And when they unified all the customer data, they were much better able to automate their cycle and trigger sales efforts. So for example, if you think about um, a good portfolio, is going to instantly get somebody that's working with that person, right? They'll have that human touch, if you would, versus most people like me get the bot or just the online
Yeah.
portfolio, right?
Yeah.
So how do you know when somebody's the right person? Okay, we've got the net worth. We know what their data is based off of all of our third party information. We
Mhm.
know that they've been on our site. They've been here. They've been researching us on Google. They've been doing all this information about Vanguard. We should have a sales guy call them. And they were able to have those sales guys call them within 24 hours. That was incredibly powerful for them. That grew their business quite a bit. I mean, and I think Vanguard, when you look at financial AI and you go on their site and all the bots that they have and how they've built, I think they're still using NLP. I don't think that they've gone full generative just because of the hallucination issue, but they've got really strong advisement through a bot. And I don't think customers really care whether it's generative or NLP. They just want that
Yeah.
kind of advice. They've really gone all the way through and they've built this thing the right way. And they've been
It's
way ahead of everybody else.
That's amazing. It reminds me of just like this use case I keep running into because it's just so helpful. But oftentimes, as marketers, we're dealing with like unstructured data from different tools, and it's flaky and it's weird. It's just a mess sometimes. Some of the reports you get, more and more, I'm finding I'm just dragging and dropping these things straight into ChatGPT and be like, "Hey, can you help me understand this?"
Exactly.
Like it could be that vague and it will literally do a good job of reading it and being like, well, it looks like we're looking at this kind of data. And here, let me organize it for you in a pie chart. You're like, oh, shoot, it's
Yeah.
actually good. And I've spot checked it to make sure it's actually accurate. And I'll go and rebuild it sometimes. But I'm like, it's usually pretty good.
I mean, what people don't get about hallucination is that hallucination usually occurs when the data's not good. Like
Yeah.
you don't have the right information. There's not enough information for it to report out. And you don't provide the guardrails or the clean data on a private instance to fuel it the right way. So, for example, we did a private instance with Space Intel Report, their aerospace like trade rag, and now we locked down all the data so that they could only respond using a RAG database
Yeah.
off of their articles. And people are doing whole reports, research reports using the past articles. Oh, you don't have the information you want, or you want these 10 articles summarized? No problem. Boom. Does it just like that. Super valuable.
So it's the power. And it can be done with huge databases and it can be done with just simple things like I don't know, like I noticed even you can connect it to Google Drive recently in ChatGPT. I wish you can upload it. What you can't do in ChatGPT yet is connect like a folder or directory of Google Drive docs to ChatGPT dynamically. So every time it updates, it knows. But I'm like, I'm sure people have built tools for that. I just haven't used it yet.
Yeah, that smells like private instance to me too, because I think so many
Yeah.
businesses are concerned about their data, and candidly, some of them should be if their data is actually valuable. Most
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
overvalue their data, though.
Yeah, I guess that's a good case for Microsoft Copilot, or at least where it's going. I don't think it actually does that well yet from
No, I
some of the
don't think
videos
so.
I'm
No.
watching about it. But that's the hope that it'll get there and all your stuff will live on Microsoft Drive and it'll be able to, based on the right permissions for the user, being able to go and look at all the meeting notes and all the Excel sheets and all the stuff to help you find real time information data based on the business, which is like mind blowing cool. Uh, that's where it's going, but to today, like I'm still dragging and dropping stuff in ChatGPT to help me analyze one report at a time, which isn't bad because
That's right.
parsing it sucked.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the
So big step
summarization
forward.
capability is just in the
Yeah.
analytics that it provides. Fantastic.
When it comes to training teams, how are you approaching that right now? Somebody's coming in and be like, "Hey, help upskill my team." How are you approaching reskilling?
Ooh. So I'm actually deploying one right now. And I'm really excited about this. I can't mention the client for obvious reasons, but because I used to be the CMO of Legends of Learning, which is a game-based learning company, I try to make it fun, right? Like to me, if I can get this out of, I'm going to lose my job to AI to, hey, let's experiment together. This is going to actually take away my pain points and make life a little bit easier here. And on top of it, I can win some prizes and like beat my peers who I can't stand down the hall. Let's do it, right? Like, of course, not everybody feels that way. A lot more people are collegiate and friendly, but I'm from Philly, so that's the way I think. And if I can have that kind of fun environment where it's competitive, you get a little team
Yeah.
play, you guys get lunch, you get random prizes going out and swag, then that's what I do. And so I'm literally building a competition where people are building their own use cases. They're experimenting with the tools to create those use cases. They're getting a training session a week and a coaching session a week. And so it's really kind of hands-on, but at the same time, a choose your own adventure kind of thing where there's a spirit of fun and play. And to me, that really embraces what we love about learning, which is really seeing things open up in front of us, enjoying it, and doing so in a manner where you don't really feel like you're going to be penalized if you fail. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're giving me a good idea of like the approach that you take to bringing fun and competition into the learning. But what does the structure actually look like? Are you starting with like, hey, bring your whole team of 20 marketers to an in-person event, then you're following up remotely afterwards? Like, what does the
Yeah, we have
sequence
a
look like?
live kickoff event. We've actually themed it around the Olympics because it's coming this year, right? So we may as well
Cool.
take advantage of that. The random prizes are Olympic swag. So maybe if you're the first person to deliver a use case, great, you get a hat. Teams are going to be of 3 to 5 people, so kind of structured like a workplace team or a maybe a cross-functional team within a department, and
Yeah.
really addressing some of those departmental issues. And they'll compete against other departments in the enterprise.
Yeah. And throughout the day, are you like teaching little bits at a time? Like, hey, here's how you go from prompting to super prompting. Here's how you layer it in. Here's how you build custom GPTs. Here's how you can start automating your workflows. Is that kind of how you structure it throughout the day, or do you kind of stick to how do you structure it?
So we do have general prompting advisement. Like, usually if you have a prompt that's not delivering the result you want, why? Is it because you were too complex with the prompt and you need to break it down to smaller prompts? Or is it because you just said, make me a pie?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't ask for a pie chart. Well, what did you ask for? You just said a pie. What is a pie? You have to be more specific with AI.
Yeah.
Make me an apple pie. I want a recipe that I can use in an air fryer. Okay, completely different ball game. All of a sudden, the AI is delivering what you want, right? Or the LLM in that case. So because there are so many different functions we're dealing with in this particular implementation, like accounting is probably going to end up doing a lot of business intelligence, right? They may use some Gen AI, but they're probably going to be more BI focused. IT, I have no freaking clue what they're going to do. I mean, those nuts can do anything, man. They'll figure out something to gold plate and make their IT systems better. Maybe they'll be in Copilot, the GitHub version, writing their own code for all I know, and
Yeah. They're going to be in a world of hurt because AI and cybersecurity are going to be a huge problem.
cybersecurity
The
is really,
cybersecurity is going to be like, there's one thing I've
brother,
learned about AI. It's like, it's going to create a huge problem for cybersecurity. God bless you, IT people. It's going to be
brother,
a problem for you.
we're in the wrong business if we want to make money in AI. We should be in cyber. I'll tell you that much.
I know. If I'm investing right now, I'm investing in cybersecurity companies because they're the ones that are going to be huge over the next 10 years because of the problems created by
Totally.
AI.
Sale point, go Okta.
Yeah.
So I mean, like you can see on and on. I've got legal. Legal is going to be
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
I've got PR, I've got marketing, I've got membership, I got this, I got that. It's like on and on and on. So I don't want to tell people how to prompt or not prompt because I don't know what kind of AI they're going to
Sure.
use.
Sure.
And what the purpose of the coaching sessions is really to get into that with them one on one and really resolve their problems as they're in them. Does that make sense?
Do you usually kick off before the kickoff day? are you usually coming in with some customization for the event based on their business objectives and what their problems are?
Guidance, at least, like
Yeah,
here's what your annual plan is. So how's your effort really contributing to that? How can you best serve that larger ROI or goal? Or can you just create efficiencies to create more time so you can do other activities that will
yeah,
actually contribute to that? I mean, and realistically speaking, because there are so many different organizations within an enterprise, what a legal person can do versus what a salesperson can do are going to be completely different from an ROI
sure.
standpoint. Yeah.
So you probably come up with some success metrics before launching it and then having the follow up. What do the outcomes usually look like after you walk through this process of retraining a team around AI?
Well, like most user generated content, you've got probably about 3 to even 7 or 8 really good ideas from a 20 team base. And then you've got a lot of, well, that's interesting. And maybe that
Yeah,
can work if we evolve it a little more. Or
yeah, yeah,
maybe you're just like, wow, that's really good, Joe. Don't invite Joe to the AI council.
yeah.
That kind of stuff, right? So it varies quite a bit. It really depends on the team. But I mean, it's hard to put together like 20 teams and not come away with 5 good ideas. And really, if you're an enterprise and you look at those ranked in an Excel sheet, that's really powerful because now you have use cases that you can suddenly, when you get funding, okay, let's do number 6 because we got money for it and it's becoming a problem for the larger strategy. Let's address it.
Now, I'd love to wrap this episode up with what I call the Fast Five. I'm going to ask
Uh-oh.
5 rapid fire questions, and I need tight answers back.
I don't know if I could do that. I mean, I came out of PR. We just were windbags.
There we go. I mean, if you don't, then I'm just going to edit it down. But give me the hot take without the context.
Okay.
So let's give it a shot.
All right, then.
Question 1: what's your favorite AI tool or resource right now?
Claude.
What's one book you'd recommend for anyone looking to learn more about AI?
I think it's Kai-Fu Lee's, and I hope I said that right, AI 2048, was it? Yeah.
What's the biggest hurdle you're still running up against with AI marketing?
Limited vision.
If you could automate one part of your daily routine with AI, what would it be?
Agenda creation.
What's the most exciting AI development you see on the horizon right now?
Multimodal content creation.
Fantastic. See, you crushed it. It's fast and super concise.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Agenda creation,
can't,
I feel like it's kind of getting there with the meeting notes, but it's like,
yeah,
yeah.
not there yet.
Yeah.
I know so many things, especially that last question. There's so many things on the horizon, so I'd love to see what people are looking forward to the most.
I think tell me how you feel as a marketer, but like the ability to deliver some sort of a cohesive multimedia document, like a web page, for example,
Yeah,
with diverse media types, man. Oh, that's the dream, right?
yeah. I mean, right now, I think I had a revelation about a month ago that hyper personalization was going to be one of the major factors that AI was going to be able to produce. And I mean like real time hyper personalization. Like right now, I'm dabbling with it in I have an email, like a free email course. In fact, good plug for the
I
email
saw that.
course. If
Yeah,
you go to
yeah. It
aidrivenmarketer.com
did look
slash
good.
course, you can check out my AI fundamentals course. The thing that's cool about it is like you get to put in a few pieces of information like your role, industry you sell to, and what you're selling. Those 3 pieces of information in the course is customized for you based on those 3 pieces. And AI does a remarkable job of just taking the
Yeah.
lesson transcript, those pieces of information and the prompt I wrote, and giving you like, okay, prompt 101, how to go from prompting to super prompt is one of the lesson 1, of course, like where you always have to start. It comes up with very different suggestions for a CMO in a beauty industry than it does for an email marketer in the fintech industry, right? As it should.
Right.
But it's still way better. But I'm like, that will happen across the board for websites, email,
Totally.
social. It's all going to be hyper personalized in the future. And I'm
And it
here for
already
it,
is
man. It's going to
happening
be
with the
awesome.
big brands, right? I mean, the big
Yeah,
brands are doing that already, right? Now it's like getting democratized.
I know. But like, think about movies that are personalized. Like right now, Netflix recommends the top movies to you, but wait until the individual storylines customized. It's going to be more video game esque, less movie.
Yeah.
But I'm like, and this is getting out way into the future, but
It's like choose your own adventure, right?
yeah, exactly. But it's going to be crazy. So, but marketing is going to be part of that too with website. I mean,
Right.
we've talked about personalization and websites, but come on, it's like insert company name. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah,
fancy.
yeah. I mean, we're
How
still
about
talking
figure
brand
out what my
frameworks.
problem is and adapt your solution to my problem based on what you already know about me on your
So
website? That'd be
here's a
better.
quick take for you, Dan. Like, so which media franchise would you want your personalized content to happen with first?
Which media franchise? You mean like movie stuff?
Movie, TV shows, sports. What kind of media content would you most want to interact with on a personalized basis where the AI would serve it to you? However,
Like just my YouTube content,
just
honestly.
your
Like
YouTube
I go to
content.
YouTube. I'm addicted to just going to YouTube to learn stuff from simple like how do I get my Bermuda grass to like stop growing the way or to like grow better because it's starting to die out in the backyard. I would love personalized content about that based on where I live in near Nashville, based on the season that I'm running to, based on what it's seeing, based on this lesson that this YouTuber put out. It'd be fantastic. So education would be the biggest piece for me. But otherwise, like, and I think the one I've thought about a lot is kids' books.
Yeah. How old?
I've made kids books and they're hard to make, but they're really fun. But I can see a day where some smart company takes what I want to teach my kids and what they're into and what in my background and weaves personalized stories. So it's print on demand, one book, one of one, right? Made for my kids with their freaking names in it. And it's teaching them their growth mindset. And it knows that they both play soccer. I'm like, I want that kid's book to read with them.
I've got a book for you. It's called Neil Stevenson. It's The Diamond Age, a young lady's illustrated primer, where it literally is an AI primer teaching this three different girls in three different places, the same book, um, how to live their lives. It's really interesting.
That's really cool. I'll check that out.
I'm not going to lie, brother. For me, it's got to be Star Wars. I want to be my own Jedi. Flying around.
So you're probably really bummed that Star Wars or Disney shut down that whole hotel. Did you get in there before they shut it down?
Nope. Nope. My wife's more bummed than
The
I am.
Star
She's the
Cruiser,
real Star
whatever.
Wars fan, but yeah.
Yeah.
My kid's like, you guys are old.
Yeah. It's funny that people that grew up with this stuff now have like adult money and can really get into it now. I have a lot of peers that are like into Pokemon cards and stuff, and it's like really interesting because my kids are into it. I'm not into it, but I have neighbors that are into it. And I'm like, wow, this is a thing.
It's
When you
amazing.
grow up with stuff as kids and now you have adult money to like spend on it, it becomes a really interesting thing.
100% right.
But yeah, no, Star Wars would be really fun to see hyper personalization with.
Okay, cool. What color
Well,
lightsaber would you have?
I don't know. I mean, my favorite color is red, but I don't know if I'd go dark side.
You don't want to be
So,
Sith Lord, no.
no, I'm like, that's too bad. But
Why did they
I'd
only
probably,
give red ones?
I don't know. It's sense like the light side has all kinds of color options. If you're
Right?
evil, though, you instantly go red.
Yeah.
So I
That's
don't
too
know.
bad.
The dark saber was pretty cool. That was different.
Yeah, right. Mandalorian, right?
Yeah. I don't know if you can call that a lightsaber, but it's in that
It's in
kind
that
of place.
realm.
It's in that realm.
I'm with you. Cool.
So, Geoff, thank you so much for joining me on the AI Driven Marketer. Where can people learn more about you, the trainings that you're doing, and everything you have going on regarding AI and marketing?
CognitivePath.com. It's the hub. You'll find everything you need right there.
Awesome. So go check out that website, find out what you can learn about Geoff. And thanks for joining us again today on the AI Driven Marketer.
Dan, it's a pleasure. And thank you so much for your time. Can't wait to have you on the No Brainer podcast. You're awesome, man. Thank you.